Hello, everybody. How are you today? My name is Rzasa, and I'm one of the co-founders of Altenew, and I'm thrilled to be here for another creative challenge. I apologize for any of you who were ready to tune in last week. Once again, my family has been getting ill. I thought that we were through all of this in the fall and early winter, and things are just springing up again now that it is springtime. So sorry for those of you who are looking forward to that, but it did allow you all to get an extra week to play along and enter to win. So we will be going through last week's challenge, of course, today. But before we do that, I do want to say hello to everybody who is here already, and especially if you've said hello in the chat. Love seeing you all active in the chat. Mitzi is here behind the badge, so she'll be popping in different links to products and troubleshooting as we go through the live today, so make sure to say hello to her as well. I know I'm going to be missing some of you, but I'm just going to give a little roll call of who I'm seeing right off the top here. So we have Nancy, Kim, Ms. Tamp, Polly is here, Beverly is here, so is Lisa and Sue, Beverly, and maybe some more that I haven't seen. I'm sorry if I missed you. I'm trying to scroll through quickly. If you are here, please share the video while we're live. If you do that, you will be entered to win a $15 gift certificate to the Altenew store, and that will be announced at the end of the live today. So we usually sign off around after an hour, so you have about that much time. Just do it now, well, at least you don't have to think about it, or remember to do it later. And the sooner you share, the more chances we have for other people to come and join us while we're live. So go do that, come back, leave a comment, let us know that you shared us, and that is how you will be entered to win. So just a fun time overall here. I am so excited. The weather is finally going my way. I am a lover of spring and summertime, so we've been having some nice warm days here in Massachusetts. And I think around the country, a lot of you have been experiencing some nice warm weather, probably lots of rain, but good stuff. I'm getting a tip. Here we go. Marcy's giving a tip. Soak your toothbrushes in hydrogen peroxide to kill the germs. Rinse before use. Get a new brush when you are better. That's a really great idea. I actually haven't swapped out my toothbrushes, and I usually try to. I'm even happy I have my voice right now because I had almost completely lost it by the end of last week. Because when I did go back to school, I am a teacher, I think my voice just wasn't ready to to be used, and it was like, no, I don't want you talking all day, Jen, no thank you. And it was just getting worse and worse and worse, and by the end of the day, Friday, I had kids saying like, Mrs. Rzasa, why do you sound like that? I'm like, it's okay, I feel fine, it's all right, let's keep going. It's tough when you're a music teacher having to sing the whole day. So my voice is still a little weird, but at least it's working and it doesn't hurt. So I'll take that for sure. All right. So last week, what we did was, 2 weeks ago, I'm sorry, we were geometric geniuses. And all we had to do was create something that featured geometric shapes. So that could be linear shapes. It could be also polygons of various types or circles, whatever it is that you were inspired by. I did finish the card that I had started when we were on the live. I did lots and lots of triangle stamping. If you missed that live and you want to watch someone stamp an absurd number of triangles over and over again while chatting, the chat was great. That is what I did. I was just kind of winging it. I really didn't have any rhyme or reason to the pattern. My initial thought was to do maybe a symmetrical pattern, but I knew that being live and chatting at the same time, I was likely to make a mistake somewhere along the way. And then if like one side didn't look exactly the same, that would have bothered me. So I just went random. You know, we just went and picked different triangles and two different sizes. This was from the Simple Shapes stamp set. And then I did go back after the live was completed. I added a greeting and I did use vellum. It's a little tough to see. Can you tell we have some vellum? So behind the black greeting, the shadow layer of the die is just a little bit of vellum. So I really love how that gives it a look that like helps make the greeting pop without covering too much of the background, because I took all that time to stamp it. Might as well show it. And then I added a bunch of enamel dots that were coordinating, and I put them in all of the right angles of every triangle. So that is how I decided to complete my Geometric Genius card. I'm glad you love it. Sue's saying random's a good thing. Yeah, line and order and everything is good. And then randomness is also good. Everything has its time and its place. Thank you, Sue, for sharing. And to any of you, any others out there who also shared. I see Amy shared and Jamie. So that is fantastic, because now we're going to go into the winner. So the more you share, the more people show up, and then they can see who the winner is. So give me a moment just to share my screen. You're sharing the video, I'm sharing my screen, and then you guys will see who the winner is. Drum roll, please. And the winner is Wendy McDonald. So congrats to Wendy. And let me zoom in on some of the details here. I am loving how elegant this looks. Very, very Art Deco, in my opinion. And the sentiment is nice. Here's to a day full of beautiful moments. And the card is beautiful. I love the glitter popping out the back. So Wendy, you did an amazing job with this project, and I'm so happy that you are the winner this week. So please go ahead and contact us at winner@Altenew. Sorry, not winner, that's the old one. support@altenew.com, and let us know that you are the winner of the challenge, and we will get your prize out to you. So yes, congratulations to Wendy, and thank you to everybody who entered. And we got some works in progress this week. I love getting works in progress. I'm sorry I didn't choose any of them, but you are not at any disadvantage for submitting a work in progress. I just kind of was captivated by that project, and Wendy hasn't won, and it was nice to see her entry, so I made sure to feature her this week. But I do love getting those works in progress because it makes me feel a lot better when I don't finish my card, which is pretty much every week. The goal is finishing every time, and I very rarely meet that goal. So it's okay not to finish something when you choose to work on it. So then that brings us to today's challenge. Will I finish my card today? I don't know. You do not need to create a card, by the way, in order to play along. Anything with your paper crafting products is absolutely fine. Get creative. I love seeing things that aren't cards, just because I pretty much only do cards. So I'm comfortable in that space, and I like being inspired to see what else you can create. So if you do choose to play along with this week's challenge, make sure you use our hashtag Altenew Challenge Live, so we can check it out and see what you create. So this week we are doing a pop of color. Pop of color today. So the pop of color is to try to keep everything neutral in some way. Oh, I just glitched. I'm hoping my internet's not going wonky. So keep your project neutral with the exception of one pop of color. It could be one element that is a pop of color. It could be a little cluster of something that is colorful, but you don't want to have like color here. Oh, here's a pop, here's a pop, here's a pop, here's a pop of color, here's a pop. You want to have it pretty much neutral all across the board and pop one place with color. I always get questions about what counts as neutral. So I like to think of black and white are neutrals, gray tones, brown tones, like a craft, that will be neutral, or like a light tan or off-white color, that's neutral. As far as metallics, we always get the question about metallics, and I honestly never really know how to answer it because, yeah, sometimes metallics acts as neutral, but I think for the pop of color, metallic is popping, right? I wouldn't do that as your neutral unless like everything's metallic and then your pop is not metallic. I don't know. You interpret it as you wish, but I do try to give some kind of parameters so that we're following the same rules, but you're not like eliminated if you say, well, I thought that a neutral was okay. Do what you feel works best for you, as long as you're embodying the challenge theme, which is pop of color. And back to those works in progress before I show you what I've brought to create with today. If you do submit a work in progress, make sure that the work in progress satisfies the challenge prompt, just so I kind of see your vision and know where you're headed. So if you are creating something and there's no pop of color yet, don't take a picture of what you have and say, this is my pop of color entry. See if you could get some color on, even if it's not adhered. Right? Oh, here's my pop of color. I'm just going to place it on top for now. Or I'm going to do something blue. So here's some blue to represent that pop of color. I'm not really that strict with the rules, but just to give you guys some guidelines. All right, let me pop you down, and hello to anybody else who has come in since we started. My name is Jen, and I'm happy to have you here. We have a pop of color today, so I'll set this aside, but I do really love how this came out after all that work and all those triangles that we stamped. The effort was worth it. So I'll set this aside. Thank you, everybody who has also shared. I took out the parchment bouquet. Now, my ideas are always very loose at the start of the live. It doesn't really come together until maybe halfway through when I get a better vision of what I think I want. But I thought of using crafts like a brown as my neutral and then have colors as the pop. And then right before I went live, I kind of reconsidered. I think I want everything white except for one of these flowers. So we are doing white on white on white on white on white, maybe some gray in the background. We shall see. But I've got this fantastic set here, and oh, it's so nice. It's so, so pretty. I've seen so many people create amazing things with this set. I'm going to take off the pieces that I need for the parchment first. So I'll show you the layering guide here. This is just the back area. And the reason why it's a parchment bouquet, like if you've ever seen any of those rustic bouquets, sometimes at the supermarket, you'll be lucky and you'll find one wrapped in paper and not just in that plastic stuff. I love the look of a paper wrapped flower bouquet. So that was the inspiration for this one. And we do have these 3 pieces, which creates the bouquet. And you could use other flower dies that you have in your collection if you want to use this set. You don't have to be limited to the ones here, but the ones that are here were just sized to kind of fit nicely in. So that's why we have all of these together. But yeah, if you have this set, you could definitely use other flowers, or it doesn't have to be flowers, leaves, anything else that you have. So I'm going to start with this just so I'm not making too much of a mess. Let me grab my mini blossom die cut machine. And I am taking out my metal shim. I wouldn't need to use it for this one. So for this larger, because my rule of thumb that works for me pretty much all the time is if the die is open in the middle, I don't bother with the shim. And then if it is closed, and especially when it has debossing details like these, or inner cut lines, that's when I use a shim. So that just kind of is my rule of thumb. So I don't need to use it for the larger one, but I will be using it for all of these other small pieces. And the fact that everything I'm cutting out right now is going to be white is going to make it so things might get jumbled up. So I'm going to have to be like real organized over here as I die cut. And I just have some random scraps of paper hanging around. I do need to trim this down a tad just so it'll fit on my cutting plate. It is a 3 by 6 inch cutting plate. So I'm just gonna eyeball it. I could even use this as a guide and just see about where I need to cut. My paper trimmers off to the side of my table over there. So I didn't want to get that out. And this, Oh, it just fits. Looking good here. Sue is asking, thinking of getting a small die cutting machine. Does the mini blossom have any heft to it? I feel like I should just drop this so you see how loud it is. Let's see. You probably can't hear that. All right. It does have heft to it. I would say it is heavy for its size. I have a feeling on the website we might have the weight of it. If not, please reach out to customer support and we will get how heavy it is in weight, just in case that makes a difference to you. It's not so heavy though that I wouldn't put it in a bag and take it somewhere. So I think it's a pretty good balance between being heavy enough to be sturdy, but light enough to be portable. But I don't want to lead you astray. So I would say if you could either check the website or reach out to our team to get the weight of it, that might help you as you decide if it's something that you're interested in getting. But I do most of my die cutting on it, even though I do have a nice fancy electronic die cutting machine behind me. I love that I don't have to crank the handle on that, but it's a lot more cumbersome to deal with bigger plates. And I only use that when I have to do something larger than these plate sizes. So if I have like a 6x6 embossing folder, of course I'll use that, or any of the large shape dies, I will use my larger die cut machine. But otherwise, I just pretty much exclusively use this one. I would also recommend Sue talking to other crafters and see what they feel. I haven't tried any other smaller ones, and obviously I wholeheartedly recommend the mini blossom, but it never hurts to ask people what machines they have and what they feel like the positives and negatives are. I've never had to replace this. I've had this ever since we released it. Gosh, I don't even know how long ago that was. A super duper duper long time ago. This was one of the manufacturing samples. Sometimes I get samples that don't have like the customization as far as like this design or like Altenew on it. This one I did. So it was like a late stage manufacturing sample, but I hope that gives you some insight on the longevity. It just performs so well. So I wholeheartedly recommend it, but you need to make the decision that works best for you. Yeah, Miss Tampa saying it's hefty and won't get knocked around easily. And it also helps having these suction cups. I have to say, when I'm live, sometimes it's annoying because I'll suction it down so I can cut, and then I have to remove it so it's out of view of the camera. So I tend to not push it down with the suction cups. But that does help. If I wasn't filming, I would have it suctioned in one area and then just craft elsewhere. But I do need, while I'm filming, to have this cleared. So that's that. But yeah, I do think it's a great machine. Hey, Deb. She's saying hello from Wisconsin. Nice to have you here. And Sue is saying she tried or checked out one from a different brand and it was light. Yeah, I think once you get the weight, that might help answer all your questions for you and help you decide. Okay, does this fit here? Yes, it does. You know what? I might do like a little strip here. I'm just trying to conserve space. Yes. And then get more of my trusty tape off the side of my desk. Okay, let's do this just like that. I'm seeing a question, and was it me? Nancy's saying, what about on a live where it fell and the handle came off? I have an awful memory. Tell me, did that happen with me? I don't even know if I could take this handle off. Tell me if that was me, because I don't remember it, but that doesn't mean that didn't happen. You'll just have to refresh my memory. Oh my gosh. I don't want to say I'm old. I know I'm not old, but there's just something, I think, after your 30s that happens to your memory, and it just kind of starts pooping out. So I'm 42, by the way. So I know it's still young. Okay. So cranking this through. CMR, thank you for sharing. And we're just getting our lovely parchment ready. Now, what's going to be tough, I think, for me is not adding some shading and color around these elements, but I think it's all going to pay off. Something white on white. I don't know. It's so beautiful, especially for wedding cards. I think of all the different occasions where white on white would be lovely. And especially this is going to get a pop of color. If you are just joining us, that is our challenge theme this time around, is a pop of color. So we are going to be doing some color. I think maybe just one flower is going to be my pop. But what I was saying before about having a cluster, if I wanted my whole project to be white or white and gray or neutrals, and then all of these flowers are colored, that's still, in my opinion, following the pop of color rule, because it's focused to one area and then everything else would be neutral. But I think I just want lots of white on white. Oh my gosh, it was me. Nancy's saying it was me. I'll have to go back in the lives, you know. That is hilarious. If it was me, it obviously is fine and I can't take it off. So something was okay. God, why can't I remember that? She's saying, wait till you hit your 70s. Our brains just kick out thinking that we won't need it again. That's too true. That's too sad and true. Like, the worst is when you walk into a room and then you get there and you forgot, like, why did I come in here? What was I doing? That's the one that always freaks me out, because it's like, I know I had a plan. I know I was coming into the room for something. The only one I don't get confused by is the kitchen, because I'm always going to get a snack in the kitchen. So it's not surprising to me if I just land in the kitchen. I will figure out where to put this later. This was before we started doing the acetate, the printed acetates. I don't know exactly how to fit all these back. But let's go into our next piece here. I'll do the flowers for the end because I think that's what I want colored. So let's do this. We've got like a little baby's breath. I was just looking at a thing yesterday about how baby's breath is toxic to humans. I don't really think I was aware of that. I don't think it's like super toxic, but I think you would get sick if you consumed it. I think I was watching a video of somebody who was making a cake, like a cake making reel. And we're very off topic, but they put baby's breath into the cake. And a whole bunch of people were commenting saying, like, you can't do that. Like, that's not an edible flower. Get that off of there. There are 2 layers, by the way, to that one. So I might just omit this layer, because the whole point of having the 2 layers is so that you can have the stem in a different color than the rest of it. But I'm doing white on white on white. So I don't think I need that piece. And I will also be cutting these leaves. And then we're going to get into the good stuff, all the flowers. And we'll get to decide where our pop of color is going to be. Jamie says, oh, that's totally me, but I recently found out that is my ADHD combined. Yes. So you're like already getting, if it's age and then ADHD, like there's no chance, right? How is anyone going to survive and have a functioning memory? So it's good that we can all laugh about it. But yeah, it's like a real issue. And it is sometimes freaky when like you don't know what you're doing or what you were about to say. Sometimes I'll ask my husband a question and he'll say, you just asked me that. I said, when? It's like a minute ago. And I was like, oh, I had it in my head to ask you. And I didn't know if I did. I didn't know if I asked yet. Jamie says, yeah, gross. Do not eat the baby's breath. Yeah, I don't remember what the account was that posted that cake video, but people were all over them. And yeah, that is dangerous if it's toxic. Jamie's saying it drives my wife crazy. Oh yeah, probably the forgetfulness. Yeah, it's tough. Why am I putting these the wrong way? Okay. As I'm talking about being scatterbrained and forgetful, I'm putting my dies on upside down. Oh yes, cutting side up. Oh my goodness. All right. So let's get these cut and then we can make some decisions on the flowers. I haven't quite decided if I'm going to ink blend or use some colored cardstock for those, but I think it might be pretty to do at least 2 flowers with the pop. We'll do all the leaves white. Let's do all the flowers colorful. That's going to be my pop. So a clustered pop of pretty colorful flowers among all of these white leaves and the white baby's breath. Now with the leaves and the greenery, you can cut as many as you want. So I'm going to be checking here so I can show you. In addition to what we have on the layering guide, we also have singular leaves, like a cluster of singular leaves, and these could get tucked in wherever. We also have solid branch. This is a really like choose your own adventure type thing where you're like definitely able to mix and match and create however you'd like. I'm going to start with just this and probably add more greenery, whitery. It's going to be white. I don't know why I'm calling it greenery. Foliage. Add some more white foliage once we have the flowers figured out. But let me show you how this is coming out so you can already see. I'm going to need to be really thoughtful with my adhesive of where I'm going to be using foam tape, because the dimension of using the foam is what's going to help separate all these elements. If they're all white on white on white on white, it's going to be really easy to lose that detail. So let's use our imaginations. Here's the base. Now these side pieces I'm not going to put on yet. I'm just going to tuck in some of this foliage just like that. And my plan is probably not even to adhere that down, right? We'll just let that hang loose or maybe prop it up with some tape. And then these little pieces, let me see which one goes first. This one goes down first, right here. And then this part right here. So you could already see how this is becoming a beautiful wrapped bouquet. But now we're going to get some colorful flowers as our pop of color. Laura is saying she's running late. So just heads up, Laura, we are doing a pop of color. You want to keep your project mainly neutral. I'm choosing white just because I talk about it all the time. I am so comfortable with white. White is my comfort zone. I love color with white and black. So white space is fun for me, but you guys can use any neutrals, any neutral palette of grays, black and white, tans, taupes, browns, anything that seems like to be in that neutral territory. And then you want a pop of color, some type of focal point. It could be one element or a small cluster of elements, kind of like how I'm going to be doing here with our flowers, but just a pop that gives you that real clear focus to your project. Nancy says, I've never had kids. What's my excuse? I don't think the excuse is always children. I think I was like this before having a baby. I know that parents may suffer from the memory issues more frequently or more commonly, but I don't think that's a prerequisite. Look at this. I can't even figure out where this goes back on. Okay, so now we have two different flower clusters, and I'll be able to keep these separate because they have different cut holes in the middle. So we have our keyhole concept. Let me show you up close here. Focus, focus, focus. There we go. So we've got a triangle cut out here. And then for this one, we have that small arrow. So even if these get mixed up, you could still tell which is which because of those. And then I have this cute little cluster of flowers. We have the base, and then we have all of these little guys that get placed on top. This one die will cut all of these little flowers, and then they will get adhered separately. There's no need for a keyhole with this because you just randomly put them on. There are little dots that get debossed onto this piece. So if you want to make it look exactly how it looks on the example project or on the layering guide, you would just put one on each of those dots. So one flower on each dot. But you don't have to, you could just put them on randomly, and then those debossed dots are going to just add a little bit of dimension to that piece. And the only things I haven't grabbed for cutting yet are these leaves. I'm going to be deciding that later, what I want to do in that for those. Okay, so let's get some more little pieces of cardstock out. Let's do this first because this is going to require the most assembling. And then the other ones are real easy to assemble with those keyholes. I love Jamie's idea. If I do white, I will lightly brush the edges with gray or light brown to give a shadowy look. That is fantastic way to get more dimension and life to those pieces that might not be multicolored, right? So if you have white on white or tan on tan or gray on gray, you can always add a little bit of that extra ink blending. And don't feel limited to doing dyes. I'm choosing to die cut just because that's what I felt like using was this parchment set, the parchment bouquet, but you can definitely do neutral stamping. There are a lot of ways that you can interpret this challenge. Laura's saying, I love that you have those cutouts like the keyhole. Yes, I do too. It really makes it so that I don't want to say the layering guide isn't necessary because it is helpful to have a layering guide too, but there are a lot of sets that I don't even bother looking at the layering guide just because it is so self-explanatory with the little etched numbers that tell you what order they need to get adhered in, and then having the keyhole that helps you align them. But we do still have the layering guide. So it's more information. The more you have, the easier it will be, I think, to assemble. So having both the cutouts and the layering guide is just ideal. Let me just use our perfect picker here to get those stuck little flowers out. Oh, they're so cute. Okay, so let's adhere these down and then figure out the colors. I still haven't decided what color I want to do those. For this, I decided I was going to leave these white. You're probably like, Jen, what color are you going to do those? I think I'm just going to leave them white, and then the big flowers are going to be colored. And I think I'm going to do ink blending just so I can get nice depth and vibrancy instead of just using flat colors of cardstock. So I will show you what I mean when we get there. I am just going to use my glue, liquid glue, the glue, and put these on. I know it's a little hard to see what I'm doing. Let me zoom you in. And yeah, it's white on white, but it is still nice and, I don't know, dimensional once I add these. You can also pop these up with foam tape if that was something that you wanted to add a little more pop. But this is just a matter of putting a little bit of glue on and sticking it down. A lot of times when I die cut flowers, I do like to peel up the little petal edges. We also have the petal shaper, which is really great for that. These are just so small. I think even if I used the smallest stylus and just tried to like make a cup shape, I think that I would still have, it still will be tough to see that dimension. So I'm just going to put these on flat, but that is something else that you can do. It's a great tool having that petal shaper. And these do overlap a little bit. Okay, Gina is here. Oh, she didn't get the notification. I'm glad you're here now. And what we're doing is a pop of color. So right now we've got a lot of white elements going down, and I'm using the parchment bouquet set, and I'm going to make my two flowers the focal point, the two larger flowers. and everything else is going to be white. We'll see how that comes out. I'm hoping it's elegant. And I think I might use some gray as the background behind the parchment bouquet. You know me, guys. I don't have a solid plan, so we will have to see what it looks like when this is done. And most likely what's going to happen is I will have all of my elements complete and ready by the time we finish the live today. And then you are going to have to come back next week to see how it all got finished up. And I love that. I love getting to see what you made, but I also love that you get to come back and see what I made. So let me show you this nice and closely. There we go. Oh, it's so cute. There, that's a great way to see it. Okay, there is a little tiny spot of red that's not white. I think it's because I was using scrap paper. There may have been a little tiny bit of ink, but it's still white in my books. Okay, so we're going to add this back to my pile here. So now we have all of these elements ready to get assembled. And now let's go for our larger flowers. So since I'm going to do some ink blending, I will pull out just a sticky mat to do my blending on. And let's cut these guys up first. I'll just use this paper here, and I think I could probably get them both on in one go. Perfect. Gina's saying the elements harmonize with my nails. Yeah, thanks. I actually tried nail stamping for the first time. That's what, here. Hello, focus. It's not great, but it's pretty good. So I'm kind of new to that whole world, but I figured I like stamping on paper. Why not try stamping on my nails? So I got the whole little kit with the squishy stamper thing, the clear stamper, and the special stamping polish. And what I like is that my nails are all smooth, because usually I'll put like stickers on my nails and it drives me crazy that there's bumps and texture on them. But with this, it was so nice. I'm like, oh, they're still so smooth. So yeah, not perfect, but pretty good. Not bad. I'm excited to practice more and see what I could do, but it's really, really fun to start a new hobby. I'm going to say that's a new hobby. And I've been doing my nails every Saturday after my son goes to bed. So it's kind of like a nice me time also. In addition to getting to be in the craft room, I've got some me time when I do my nails, and my husband and I will just watch a show, and I'll bring all my nail stuff out to the living room. Probably not the best idea, you know, but whatever. I make a whole mess and then I clean it up so that it's ready the next morning. And it's just been so fun to watch like nail tutorial videos and learn a bit about that. And then I keep thinking to myself, like, I want nails that are Altenew designs, like all of our layered flowers. How amazing would that be if those were nail stamp designs and you could do the layering on your nails, right? Wouldn't that be great? BK Chester, thank you for liking and sharing the video. Okay, let's just send these through and then we'll do some ink blending. I sometimes will ink blend the cardstock first. Sometimes I will ink blend the cardstock after I die cut. There is no right or wrong way. What's funny is, as I said that, I was thinking of this old commercial that said there's no wrong way to eat a Reese's. And it was a Reese's peanut butter cup commercial. Sorry, I'm just laughing at myself because we talk about so many weird things here, but you know, it's kind of like my thought process is all over the place. Okay, so these two go to this. So I do want to keep them kind of together. But yeah, there's no wrong way to eat a Reese's. And it was like, I remember one was a vampire, like sucking the the peanut butter out, and it was for Halloween. And that was just the tagline at the end of it. This little triangle, by the way, I don't need because this is just the cutout of that triangle shape that helps me align everything. Let's bring back the perfect picker just to pop these little guys out. So there's another triangle here. That's just trash. That's discarded. Zoom in a little bit more. Tell me somebody remembers those commercials. There's no wrong way to eat a Reese's. And then I have people that say Reese's instead of Reese's. But the commercial said Reese's. So I think that's the official one from the company, probably. They said Reese's. All right, now we're going. Yes, Gina says vampire with the PB&J. Yes, it was a vampire, right? I'm not losing it. Okay, so these ones I will address next. I want to start with this one. So we have our triangles, and that's this flower right up here. So I'm going to take out just my trusty mat here. And I'm using this just as a reference while I get my pieces ready, because I want to think about what order they go in. So we have 1, 2, 3. Then we have this little centerpiece. This one is probably going to be a different color. I could do like yellow or something. And then this goes on top, and that's going to be the same color as everything else. You probably know I'm going with pink. Let's see what pink's to do. All right. I've got rose quartz, puffy heart, purple wine, and cosmic berry. I'm going to start with the puffy heart. If this is a pop of color, let's like make it pop. Okay. Scissor Sprite also remembers. And then Laura says, my brother would debate anyone on how to say it. Yeah, I feel like there's maybe depends on where you grew up. By the way, I'm just testing how intense this is right here. So I'm going to start in the center, work my way out. I grew up in Long Island, on Long Island in New York, and I absolutely say Reese's. So Reese's Pieces, Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. But I feel like here in Massachusetts, where I live now, I think I hear more people saying Reese's. Is that right? Could that be true? More people say Reese's? Okay, now I'm just going to skip purple wine and go right to cosmic berry. And let's get a smaller blending brush for this. This is one of our small little angled brushes because I don't want to do too much here. Okay, just once again, testing out over here. Yeah, that's so dark. Okay, let's use it sparingly. I love how bringing out a darker color just helps bring out the debossing lines, just like this. So this is the first layer, so I'm keeping it mostly dark with just a little bit of lightness at the edges. And then now I'll do the same here, but just go up like halfway. Oh, that was a little more than I wanted, but that's okay. Here, I'm going to go just a teeny tiny bit. I could spend more time really making a nice blend here, but these are so small, it doesn't matter. Jamie's saying I'm doing it right. Reese's Pieces. Yeah, that makes sense, right? Not Reese's Pieces or Reese's Pieces. Just at the base of this petal. Right there, we're doing a little bit more of that cosmic berry. Now that was quick and easy, and we've got a great little look here. Okay, let's go to our center. I don't want to forget about that. Just going to pull out a blending brush that has some yellow on it. Let's just get some warm sunshine. And I'm going to let these kind of dry off a bit before I adhere them together. So these are dye inks. Our fresh inks are dye, which means they're water-based, which means they do dry fairly quickly. But I am putting down a lot of color, a lot of ink. You can see, especially with the darker color, I have saturated. And it will take a few more moments for that to dry. And if it's dry, it's going to be easier for me to glue them together. Marcy, I think you've got it right. She says, however you say it, it's a great treat. Yeah. Who has to pronounce it correctly? Doesn't matter. Okay, now we're going to take out this next grouping. I do have these pieces too. I don't want to lose them. And we'll pick a different color for this. I feel like I always do the same colors, either pink and orange, or I use pink and purple. But I love that so much. Maybe I'll do red? No. No, just having a conversation, just disagreeing with myself, you guys. Don't mind me. Just disagreeing with myself. All right, anybody who is just coming in, we are doing a pop of color. So all of this over here that's white is going to be contrasting with my two floral popped flowers. And I really hope this looks cute. I think it will. I don't want them to look too out of place and random. So I think it might be important for me to make sure that there's like a gray or black or something behind my parchment bouquet that doesn't make it just seem like white, 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 white. Everything is white and then two things are colored, because that might look a little strange. I don't know. So we'll do this first, and then we'll kind of make an assembly without adhering things down, but just to make some decisions on how I want to approach this, because I think it is important to use some other neutral tones in the background just so that this doesn't seem too stark of a pop. Okay, so let's go then with I'm gonna do orange, guys. This is so predictable. I just love it though. Why change when I love it so much? All right, skipping Sunkissed, and we're gonna do orange cream. Just like before, I'm gonna do mainly most of the petals here with this going pretty close to the edge as our base color. Yeah, come on. You can't be telling me this isn't a great color combo. It's my go-to because it's so cute. It's like very tropical. And again, I'm getting real saturated here, so I will need to give this a little moment to dry. This piece here, by the way, I'll show you on the layering guide. This just covers up. There it is. This just covers up that very closest corner of the flower center. So I'm just going to keep that orange. I don't know if you guys can hear my son making some noise downstairs. I think an hour is a long time for him to be quiet. My husband's always like, all right, let's bring him outside to the little deck. Okay, now let's bring him in, but into his bedroom. Okay, now let's move him somewhere else. Sue says, I hear Logan. Yeah. Ooh, I'm riding off the view of the camera a little bit. Okay, now let's go to, before I forget it, because I think I already put away the yellow. Let's see if I have enough here. All right, this one's just going to be a little lighter because I don't want to grab my ink. I already put it away. Okay, so that is that. And now let's get another small little brush. This one will work. And we're going to use our fire brick to add that extra dimension here. Oh, that's so nice to hear. Sue's saying when she hears Logan, it makes her smile. And this is the first layer here. So I am using a lot more of the fire brick than I will on the other pieces. I think these are going to look really pretty once they're assembled. Oh, here's two. Sorry, second layer right here. So trying to go halfway up. And you could definitely be a lot more precise with your blending, but with elements this small, I don't think anyone's going to notice. Now this will have the least amount, this layer will have the least amount of the fire brick, just a little bit of richness in the center, and then a little tiny bit right here. Okay, that looks so pretty. Let me zoom you in a little bit closer while I assemble these. And then once we've got this assembled, we can then start to see the vision of how this card is going to come together. Okay, so here I have number 1. Let me put this aside. And then I'm just going to be grabbing these in order. I like to put the glue just right around where that hole opening is. And then I take the next one and place it on top, aligning them as best as I can. And this is an opportunity, if we had more time, I would, to get the petal shaper out, because these petals are large enough that you would get some beautiful results with the petal shaper. I'm just going to peel them up with my fingers, but you don't get that same like rounded, cupped, like realistic look if you just use your fingers, but it'll still work. All right, here's number 3, and number 3 is just adhered along this right and bottom side. And then we're going to put on the little center here. This is going to cover up the hole and the etched numbers, so nobody knows that you had that guide. Yeah, Laura's saying I need the petal shaper. It is a great tool to add to your collection. Let me just angle this out this way. So that covers all that, and then you get the last bit of detail right over here by putting in this final petal. Okay, so we've got 1 pop of color here. And also, if you were late to join, let me give you some parameters a bit for the pop of color. It doesn't just have to be one thing. Like, it could just be this one flower if I wanted, or I could have had everything inside of my parchment bouquet be colored. It's how you want to interpret it. Just as long as the pop of color is focused to one part of your project and not like, oh, here's a pop and here's another pop and here's another pop and here's another pop and here's another pop. I want it to be one focal pop, so your eye goes directly to that focal point when you look at it. Let me let this dry before I start peeling those little petals up. And I'm going to assemble the next one the same exact way. Starting with number 1, I will put some glue just around the outer edge. Liquid glue is great for this because if I'm making a larger floral arrangement, I love putting foam tape in, but these just are too small. It's really not worth, unless you want to spend a lot of time cutting really tiny pieces of foam tape. I've done that too, but really just a little bit of liquid glue is all you need, and then peel up the corners. Yeah, thank you. Lisa's saying she loves the blending. It is worth that extra effort. And to be honest, it's not even that much effort. If I just did plain cardstock colors, it would not look as realistic or dimensional, and it wouldn't really be that much quicker to just do plain cardstock. If anything, it may have even taken a little longer because I would have had to go through my cardstock collection and pick some different colors. And when I was doing this, it was just like, all right, let me cut it all in white, grab some blending brushes and put some ink down. And it really is quick and easy. Okay, the next one is the center, which covers up the little arrow cutout. And I'm keeping an eye on my time. We are running out just as I expected. I predicted we would have time to create all the elements, but not to assemble them. And that seems to be where we're headed. And that's okay. Because then, again, you guys can come back next week to see how I finished my project. And anybody who wants to play along with the challenge, all you need to do is create a project with a pop of color. If it's not finished, you can submit it as a work in progress and use our hashtag, which is hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. And that is how we're going to be able to find your project and check it out. Oh, these are so, so pretty. Okay, so now let's take a final assessment of what we have and what we need. I've got all those leaves that I can still cut out. The one die that has like a whole bunch of leaves on it to make this lush and just really beautiful. I have these flowers here, which I love that I did them in white. I was very close to doing them in a different color, but I like that they are white. So now we'll pop all of these around. And then after I sign off, I will start adhering these down. And then I'll have to decide how to finish the background of the card, everything else that I've got. We put these down. Oops. When they're not adhered, they do move around a bit. But I'm just trying to get an idea so I could see what else needs to be die cut. Okay, so hopefully the vision is coming together slowly but surely. And if you ever need some help with a vision, we always have inspiration here on the packaging, but then also go on the website and see what other people did. Yeah, I kind of like having this over here, but we'll see. Maybe I'll have to cover that one little spot where there's a bit of ink on the corner. I feel like that's standing out. That's a pop of color I don't want. Oh, so nice. Okay, so now you're kind of seeing how this may come together. Here's my pop of color. Even the leaves, I might do some leaves in green. As long as they're still focused in this area, that is still counting as one focal point pop of color. So here's this, and then I'll be mounting this to some kind of neutral colored card base so that the only color is coming from my flower arrangement. There is the vision, okay? But you guys are definitely going to have to come back next week to see how this is completed, but also to see who else played along and gets their project featured. Let me flip you back up to the front so we could do a proper goodbye. Hello, hello. So yeah, I really like where this is headed. I'm glad I went with my tried and true pink and orange for flowers. It looks so pleasing and inviting and spring-like to me. And that's what I need right now. Inviting springtime. I cannot wait till summer. I cannot wait till I get to go on vacation with my family. And this is bringing me a touch of that. So I'm glad I went with those colors. I'm excited to see how it looks if I tuck in a few colored leaves, a few green, probably tropical forest. If I'm just picking all my favorite colors, I might as well also use the tropical forest greens because those are my favorite. And then I think some kind of gray background. We'll see if gray looks better or maybe like a light tan, beige. I don't know. I'll make some decisions. I'll finish that up. And then I will see you guys back here next time with a winner and a brand new challenge. I really hope you guys do the Pop of Color challenge in your own craft room, getting a chance to really just spend some time for yourself or even with friends or family, whoever may want to craft with you, and taking that time to do something that you really love, a hobby that you enjoy. And please play along with the challenge. And if you do, use our hashtag Altenew Challenge Live. I saw some comments came in the last few moments. I didn't get a chance to read them, but I will once I sign off. And that will just about do it for me today. Thank you to Mitzi, who is behind the badge at Altenew. And I hope all of you have an amazing and crafty day. Bye-bye.